Different people need different things. Different people want different things, and everyone experiences life and the barriers within it differently. Accessibility of technology affects me, you, and everyone.
The whole business of working from home on a screen is really inclusive because it allows them to do the job they want to do while still managing whatever health condition or impairment they've got going on.
I'm often nervous of new tech, or it's not the most user-friendly to understand.
I miss out on a lot of information and opportunities because I can't use a smartphone. People living with a long-term health condition experience barriers to technology every day, with more than 2.5 billion people worldwide needing one or more assistive products, such as wheelchairs, hearing aids, or apps that support communication and cognition. However, nearly 1 billion of them are denied access. In low and middle-income countries, as little as 3% of their population have access to assistive technology.
My connections with my fellow humans have been both positively and negatively impacted by technology. In my lifetime, I've seen the introduction of email, the internet, and social media, which are now ubiquitous. They've been amazing for finding and maintaining connections, but also have created silos and barriers.
The whole reasonable adjustments thing is interesting and challenging because I suppose it's almost as varied as the number of people applying for it, and so many of them not really knowing what it could help, what could be out there to help.
It shouldn't always come down to the disabled person to have that responsibility on them to make sure their needs are met all the time. If you adapt for disabilities, actually that benefits everybody anyway. So it's kind of taking some of that responsibility and being proactive with it instead of waiting until it's a problem and then trying to decide how to fix it.
In the UK, disabled people are significantly less likely to live in households with access to the internet. Over a quarter of disabled people say they do not frequently have choice and control over their daily lives. Everything that I can't access or join because I can't use a smartphone, like messaging groups that require you to have a smartphone that can't be done on a computer. It is thought that up to 70% of all disabilities in the UK are hidden disabilities.
As a neurodivergent human with anxiety and depression, I find the ability to ask questions via online chat infinitely easier to communicate with people. I think in general, tech has made it easier to communicate as I feel like it's on my own terms when I choose to respond, like an email or text, whereas a phone call is way more intimidating as you need to respond immediately and without warning.
In Cornwall and the Isles of Scilly, 28% of people are living with a long-term health condition or disability. 37% of our households have one or more people living with a long-term health condition. This is a higher proportion than the rest of the UK. Disabled people in Cornwall face multiple intersectional barriers daily. Accessing technology shouldn't be one of them. They just haven't thought about how these things can be used by disabled people.
That's a huge barrier to people, especially like in my case, like specifically acquired disabilities.
The gap in accessible technology not only affects people living with a long-term health condition, but it affects the designers, entrepreneurs and businesses who miss out on working with disabled people to create more accessible products.
This idea of not knowing what technology is out there and what could be helpful, and trying to kind of aggregate that sort of experience and share that around is quite challenging.
The spending power of disabled people, also known as the purple pound, is an estimated £274 billion, which businesses miss out on, largely due to the fact that their technology, stores, products and other things simply aren't accessible for disabled people.
Actually, disabled people would want to be able to spend the money and be able to have adapted equipment. Usually, it would be very helpful.
And even if it doesn't impact you currently, it's worth noting that 78% of disabled people acquire their disability aged 16 or over, with 2% of the working population becoming disabled every year. It is imperative, therefore, to ensure that we get accessibility right, to future-proof for ourselves, our loved ones, and our world. So the question is, how do we do this? We have a glorious phrase we like to use: nothing about us without us. We don't expect you to have all the answers. As individuals, no one has all the answers. The best we can do is listen to each other, do our best to understand, and then ensure we implement. This means co-production.
I think it's really important that for things like adaptive technology that you work with the people that are going to be using it, essentially, because they know their bodies best, and kind of having that voice through everything you do, I think, is really important.
If you are not asking and instead are assuming what disabled people want and need, you are leading yourself into nothing but repetition. You will simply repeat the process over and over again of creating and designing products that just don't quite fit the bill, needing to alter them or recreate them altogether, wasting time and money. Communication and involvement from the very beginning of the process is integral to creating equitable, personalised solutions to ensure that everyone, no matter their identity or the barriers they face, can be included and able to access technology, just as the most privileged of us are able to choose to. When we say access means options, we mean listening to the diverse voices of people living with a long-term health condition, sensory condition, disability or neurodivergence, and not treating us as a homogenous group. We are all different, and something that might work for some of our community might not work for others. Having options means our choices are respected, our autonomy is valued, and our use of technology is equitable. This benefits everyone, and everyone should have the right to choose. So we ask you, will you work with us?